What if I told you that the part of yourself you fear the most is the part that holds your greatest strength? That the chaos inside you was never meant to be erased, but embraced. From the moment we're born, we're taught to be good. Be kind, be quiet, be obedient. Hide your anger, swallow your jealousy, pretend you're not afraid. But something happens when you bury those feelings. They don't disappear. They go underground. They become your shadow. Carl Jung said it simply: we all carry a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. You've been taught that darkness is evil, that your rage, your desire, your wounds are wrong. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if the things you've buried are not your weakness, but your unused power? Carl Jung didn't invent the darkness, he just named it. As a psychiatrist, he noticed something strange. His patients weren't just dealing with trauma, they were battling the parts of themselves they had rejected: the angry father, the ashamed daughter, the broken artist. They weren't broken because of their shadow, they were broken because they were at war with it. Jung saw a pattern. People wore masks, the persona, designed to be accepted by society. But behind that mask was the truth. Buried deep in the unconscious, he called it the shadow. But here's what made Jung's insight revolutionary. The shadow isn't evil. It's unknown. It's everything you've denied, disowned, or feared to admit. And unless you face it, it controls you. Every time you feel rage but bite your tongue, every time you feel envy but act polite, every time you feel grief but laugh it off, you are giving your power away. Suppressed emotions don't vanish, they shape-shift. That anger you repress, it becomes resentment. That fear you hide, it becomes anxiety. That desire you deny, it becomes addiction. Your shadow doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to be seen. It wants to be heard. It wants to be integrated. Jung warned, if you don't bring the unconscious into consciousness, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate. But what if your fate isn't punishment? What if it's a message, a sign from the darkness that your real power is still locked inside? Long before psychology, the ancients knew this truth. In Sumerian myth, the goddess Shinata descends into the underworld to face her dark twin. Only by dying to her false self can she return, reborn. In Hermetic alchemy, the base material must rot in the darkness before it can be turned into gold. In the Bible, Jacob wrestles with an angel in the night. He limps away, wounded, yet blessed, because he saw God in the dark. This isn't just psychology. It's universal. It's spiritual. The darkness isn't the enemy, it's the threshold. And those brave enough to enter it are the ones who come back transformed. So why don't we face it? Because it hurts, because it means admitting we're not who we pretend to be. It means confessing our contradictions, that we're not always kind, not always honest, not always strong. It means feeling the things we've avoided for years: shame, rage, loneliness. But here's the truth. What you don't face in yourself, you project onto the world. You see enemies everywhere because you haven't made peace with the enemy inside. You judge others for what you secretly fear in yourself. Shadow work isn't spiritual. Fluff, it's brutal, it's raw, but it's real, and once you start, there's no going back. But this is where everything begins to change. Once you stop running, once you stop hiding, something incredible happens. You realize the shadow is not a monster. It's a mirror. It shows you what you truly feel, what you truly want, who you really are. The anger you once feared becomes your boundary. The sadness you buried becomes your compassion. The fire you suppressed becomes your voice. This is inner alchemy, not the transformation of metal into gold, but the transformation of wounds into wisdom. The power you've been seeking was never out there. It's always been inside, waiting. Your shadow holds something deeper still: freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to stop pretending. You've spent years being what others wanted you to be: the achiever, the nice one, the obedient one. But beneath the persona is the real you, wild, honest, whole. You don't become free by adding more light. You become free by making peace with the dark. And when the mask falls away, you stop living for approval and start living from truth. You don't become perfect. You become real. So now the question is no longer, do I have a shadow? The question is, will you turn and face it? Will you step into the places you've avoided? Will you listen to what your pain is trying to tell you? Will you reclaim what you've denied for far too long? Because your darkness was never evil. It was misunderstood. It was exiled. It was yours. And once you welcome it home, you don't just heal, you become whole. What if the part of you you've been taught to fear is the part that could set you free? We've all been told a lie, that light is good and darkness is evil, that to be good you must deny what's wild, emotional, angry, or chaotic inside you. That to be loved, you must stay small, quiet, controlled. But Carl Jung didn't see it that way. He believed that the part of you called dark might actually be the key to your freedom, not because it's evil, but because it's powerful, and you've been trained to bury that power so deeply, you've forgotten it was ever yours. This is not a motivational speech. This is a confrontation with the self you locked away long ago, with the version of you that's been exiled for being too real. Because your darkness isn't evil, it's unused power, and it's time to take it back. From the beginning, you were taught to divide yourself. There were the parts of you that were acceptable, calm, kind, obedient, and there were the parts that made people uncomfortable, angry, jealous, defiant. You learned to hide those parts, to suppress them, to act like they never existed. But they didn't disappear. They just sank deeper into your unconscious, where they waited. This is what Carl Jung called the shadow, the collection of traits, urges, and emotions you've disowned. Not because they were truly wrong, but because someone once told you they were. Your shadow might contain the rage you never expressed, the sexual energy you buried, the creativity you were told wasn't realistic, the truth you silenced to keep the peace. And over time, the lie took root, that these parts of you are dangerous, evil, broken. But here's the paradox. The more you suppress them, the more they control you. Your fear of darkness becomes its fuel, and instead of mastering it, you're mastered by it. But what if the darkness wasn't the enemy? What if it was your strength, waiting to be claimed? Carl Jung was once Freud's student, but he broke away when he realized something deeper was going on in the human psyche. Freud said the unconscious was a pit of primitive urges, but Jung saw something more, a vast realm of symbols, archetypes, myths, and at the center, the shadow. To Jung, the shadow wasn't evil. It was unconscious. It was everything you pushed away, everything you forgot, everything you feared about yourself. He saw it in dreams, in myths, in the way we judge others without seeing ourselves. He believed wholeness comes not from perfection, but from integration. That means bringing the shadow into the light, not to destroy it, but to understand it. And when you do, you don't just become better. You become real, authentic, complete. Your darkness is not here to destroy you, it's here to make you whole. Think about what happens when you try to hold a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but eventually it explodes to the surface. That's what repression is. It's trying to drown parts of yourself, your anger, your passion, your pain, and pretend they're not there. But they are, and the longer you push them down, the more violently they return. This is why so many people feel out of control, why they sabotage relationships, why they feel empty, anxious, or stuck. It's not because they're broken, it's because they're at war with themselves. But here's the secret. The shadow doesn't want to hurt you. It wants to be seen, because inside that darkness is power. The power to speak your truth, the power to protect your boundaries, the power to feel fully, to love deeply, to create fearlessly. When you repress your darkness, you also repress your strength, but when you meet it consciously, you begin to transform. That rage becomes clarity, that fear becomes courage, that chaos becomes energy. This is the alchemy of the soul, turning what was once feared into fuel. This wisdom isn't new, it's ancient. Long before Jung, spiritual traditions understood the power of darkness. In Taoism, darkness is not the enemy, it's the womb of all life. The yin, the mystery, the fertile void. In Gnostic Christianity, the serpent in the garden wasn't just temptation, it was the bringer of knowledge. In alchemy, the process of transformation begins in blackness, the nigredo stage, decay, disintegration. Before gold, there must be shadow. Even in mysticism, there is the dark night of the soul, not a punishment, but a necessary passage to awakening. These traditions didn't fear darkness, they revered it, because only by descending into the unknown can you return with